But Will was feeling a growing uneasiness that seemed to come from some deep, far-away part of his mind. "You said it was a pattern, not a W?" he said casually. "What sort of pattern, Dad?" "A mandala, as I recall," said Mr. Stanton. "A what?" His father chuckled. "Pay no attention. I was only showing off. I don't imagine Frank would have called it that. A mandala is a very ancient kind of symbol dating back to sun worship. And that kind of thing, any pattern made of a circle with lines radiating outward or inward. Your little Christmas ornament was just a simple one, a circle with a star inside, or a cross, I think. A cross, I think it was." "I can't think why it isn't there with the rest," said Mrs. Stanton. But Will could. If there was power in knowing the proper names of the people of the dark, perhaps the dark could turn its work magic over others by using some sign that was a symbol of a name, like a carved initial. Perhaps someone had taken his own sign in order to try to get power over him that way, and perhaps, indeed, this was why Farmer Dawson had carved him not an initial, but a symbol that nobody of the dark could use. They had stolen it anyway, to try. A little while later, Will slipped away from the tree decorating and went upstairs, and pinned a sprig of holly over the door and each of the windows of his room. He tucked a piece of it into the newly mended catch of the skylight as well. Then he did the same for the windows of James's room, which he would share for Christmas Eve, and came downstairs and fixed a small bunch neatly over the front and back doors of the house. He would have done the same to all the windows, too, if Gwen hadn't crossed the hall and noticed what he was doing. "Oh, Will," she said, "not everywhere. Put it along the mantelpiece or something, so it's controllable. I mean, otherwise we shall have hollyberries underfoot every time anyone draws the curtains." A typical female attitude, Will thought in disgust, but he was not inclined to draw attention to his holly by making any great protest. In any case, he reflected as he tried to arrange the holly artistically over the mantel. Up here, it would be a protection against the only entry into the house that they had forgotten about. Having left his father Christmas days behind, he had not thought about the chimney. The house was glowing now, with light and color and excitement. Christmas Eve was almost accomplished. But last of all there came the carol singing. After tea that day, when the Christmas lights had been turned on, and when the last rustling scuttlings of present wrapping were ended, Mr. Stanton stretched back in his battered leather armchair, took out his pipe, and beamed pontifically at them all. "Well," he said, "who's going on the trek this year?" "Me," said James. "Me," said Will. "Barbara and I," said Mary. "Paul, of course," said Will. His brother's flute case was already on the kitchen table. "I don't know whether I shall," Robin said. "Yes, you will," said Paul. "No good without a baritone." "Oh, all right," said his twin begrudgingly. This brief exchange had been repeated annually now for 3 years. Being large, mechanically minded, and an excellent footballer, Robin felt it was not quite proper for him to show eagerness for any activity as ladylike as carol singing. In fact, he was genuinely devoted to music, like the rest of them, and had a pleasant dark brown voice. "Too busy," said Gwen. "Sorry." "What she means is," said Mary from a safe distance, "that she has to wash her hair in case Johnny Penn might come around." "What do you mean, might?" said Max, from the armchair next to his father's. Gwen made a terrible face at him. "Well," she demanded, "what about you going caroling?" "Even busier than you," said Max lazily. "Sorry." "What he means is," said Mary, now hovering beside the door, "that he has to sit up in his room and write another enormous letter to his blonde bird in Southampton." Max pulled off one of his slippers to hurl, but she was gone. "Bird?" said his father. "Whatever will the word be next?" "Good grief, Dad," James looked at him in horror. "You really do live in the Stone Age. Girls have been birds since year 1. Just about as much brains as birds, too, if you ask me." "Some real birds have brains," Will said reflectively. "Don't you think?" But the episode of the rooks had been so effectively removed from James's mind that he took no notice. The words bounced off. "Off you go," said Mrs. Stanton. "Boots, stick coats, and back by 8:30. 8:30, Robin said. "If we give Miss Bell 3 carols and Miss Graythorne asks us in for punch." "Well, 9:30 at the very outside," she said. We'll stop there. It is a break in the chapter. I know this is a short video, but I would like it to, the next part with the carol singing, to all be one video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sure I will get the next part of this up today. And that's it for now.